During this short documentary, we will be searching and exploring the closure of the main North Railway line of New South Wales in 1988, north of Glen Innes and Tenterfield near Queensland's southern border, where more than 200 kilometres of railway infrastructure with bridges and railroad tracks abandoned and forgotten falling in disrepair. We will travel to country cities, towns and sleeping villages along the northern highlands of New South Wales. Our adventure starts from the lower Hunter Valley just outside Aberdeen to the north. My name is Lawrence Gatt, and I'll be very happy to be your host during this video. I am now at a railway crossing, a former section of the North Line outside the town of Aberdeen, near Musselburgh. Just in time as the unladen Pacific National Coal Train heads back from Newcastle and reloads with fresh coal from the Gunnedah coal mine. We will continue our journey towards Werris Creek, passing through the town of Scone and the Hunter Valley, most famous for its thoroughbred horses. Travelling along the Liverpool Plains with the Liverpool Range in the background, leaving the Hunter region. The monarch butterfly is one of my favourite insects, and these refreshing paintings are so much lifelike. They fit so well in harmony with the environment, and the artist should be well congratulated. A long diesel locomotive on its way towards Maitland on Newcastle. The Australian wedge-tailed eagle is so well represented by our artist. Willow Tree was established in 1870. It is located in the northern Hunter and has a population of 427. We have now entering the town of Quirindi. It is located on the North Main Line along the northwestern slopes of New South Wales. A small town with a population of 2,500. The not so quiet Quirindi railway station as the Pacific National coal diesel locomotive rushes through. A new stronger concrete railway bridge is being constructed, replacing the older steel bridge built in the 1880s. To withstand the daily passing of heavy coal and freight diesel locomotives. I am now heading towards the small town of Werris Creek. Werris Creek is near Tamworth and the Liverpool Plainshire and established in 1840. And it is also at the junction of the main Northern Railway line to Armidale and Moree. To my surprise, I was travelling alongside the regional New South Wales training explorer on its way to Armidale as I was. I was so excited and I wanted to catch up with it so I could film it at a crossing. And after an exciting and speedy run in the country hillside of Lomond, I beated the coach and filmed it ahead of time at the crossing. Most interesting and fascinating dwellings. Obviously dwellings have been abandoned for quite a long time. And I wonder what happens to the owners. I assume the house on the left is the oldest. But the later one was built out of this unusual crafted large brick. We'll soon be arriving at the regional city of Armidale. Armidale is in the northern tablelands in the New England region about midway between Sydney and Brisbane. It was first settled in the early 1830s and has a population of 27,000. The New England University in Armidale was the first university to be established outside any capital city. The city is famous for its fine building architecture, cathedrals and churches. Armidale railway station opened in 1883. It is a grand design building, perhaps the finest in the land. It is situated on the main North Line, in the middle between Sydney Central and the Queensland southern border. In 1984, the North Railway line was officially terminated and closed off at Werris station just north of Armidale. The New South Wales Trainlink Explorer on a daily trip to Sydney Central. An 8-hour journey which is quite pleasant and very picturesque. This is where our main story begins. To explore and investigate some 200 kilometers of abandoned railway infrastructure. Cities, towns and villages has been greatly affected by this closure, from north of Armidale to Tenterfield. Large willow trees, enveloping the railway tracks, no longer in use. Fresh white daisies has sprouted around this leaking tap in the middle of a drought. And not too far was the saddened-looking white pony. Werris railway station was established in 1884. An elegant-style building of a late Victorian. Was the first railway station to close its doors in 1974. The end of the line. 16th of December 1974. We are now on our way to the little village of Black Mountain. A modern concrete viaduct replacing the older timber construction of the 19th century. Located on the northern tablelands, the village of Black Mountain is one of the highest in Australia, some 4,300 feet above sea level, with a population of 310. Black Mountain Railway Station opened in 1884 and closed down in 1985. The train signals and distance marker to Sydney Central still remains. A small group of eastern grey kangaroos are out early for an exercise hop, taking advantage with an overcast morning and low temperatures. Our next stop will be the town of Guyra. Exploring for underground water during a long-lasting drought Australia has been experiencing for the last 2 or 3 years. A long stretch of railway track lays abandoned and forgotten after 100 years of service to the many country towns and villages that depended on. The ghostly train station of Guyra is now a museum. It was established in 1884 and closed down in 1989. Guyra is the highest town and coldest of the New England tablelands, an altitude of 4,364 feet. A railroad culvert. And what about these small wooden bridges that were pounded for many decades by heavy locomotives? Now I'm entering the quiet and peaceful village of Lomond, established in 1848. Hiding in dense bushland and on horseback, Frederick Westwood Ward, known as Captain Thunderbolts, frequently robbed travellers and coaches as they approached the small village. He was confronted by police, shot and killed during a firefight in 1870. This young sheep has broke away from its flock and now is calling for help. And I believe that is Mama watching here. The picturesque Lomond railway station opened in 1884 and closed in 1985. It is the highest train station in Australia, 4,473 feet above sea level. Some 27 men were killed in the construction of the extension to the Great Northern Railway that took 6 years between Tamworth and Tenterfield. That includes little David Spillen, 9 years of age. My first glimpse of a magnificent tall wooden railway bridge built across Marowan Creek near Glen Innes, built by tough and rugged bridge builders. Stonehenge is a town just south of Glen Innes. It is well known for its famous and mysterious large granite boulders to be seen scattered throughout the landscape. After walking for more than half a kilometer downhill, I have reached a wooden bridge crossing the Border River, and it was completely dry with not a drop of water inside. Grazing animals are experiencing tough times with no green grass in sight. Steam and diesel locomotives rode under this ice brick bridge for 100 years between cities and regional country towns as far as Wollongara on the Queensland southern border. Now the celebrated Arch Railway Bridge fell to silent, and only the ghostly train horns can be heard. Or perhaps they'll be back. One can only hope. We have now reached the town of Glen Innes. It was established in 1852 with a population of 6,155. The centre of the town still retains some of the old Federation famous buildings, like this old ANZ Bank built in 1877. Glen Innes railway station opened in 1884. It has a design of a Victorian architecture. It was painted in striking red and cream, and it was the main hub for travellers on the main Northern Line before the Tenterfield railway station opened as the last station on the Northern Main Line. The large and rusty water tank and the ramp to load sheep and cattle onto the train still remind us of good days and a great era. There's a railway bridge, old wooden bridge that goes across a creek, I suppose. It shouldn't be that far. Walking along the rail line, and I'm hoping that the bridge is not that far. There's a long way. This is the way to go to Glen Innes, where I just came from. No, it's not the bridge, it's just an embankment. You can see some of the sheep are feeding. No, it's not, it must be further down. Oh, I don't know if I should walk any further. There goes the sheep. They ran away. Oh, this is not the bridge I wanted to find. It's just a run-off drain. I'm not going to take the walk, it's too far. It's too rough. Anyway, so enough exercise. Then I'll turn back. Walking along the worn-out animal tracks, making much easier in rough terrain. These old railroad spikes has been replaced by newer ones and been left here for more than 30 years. There's a good chance that this railway corridor is to be ripped up and turned into a bicycle trail. The entire abandoned section of rail infrastructure has fallen into disrepair in the last 30 or more years. Much of it has to be replaced and renewed if trains need to be reinstated. It's the missing link to prosperity and economy to towns and cities. It will be of great expense, but it can be shared by local government and rail authorities. In my opinion, it will be worth it and benefit for all. A distance of 696 kilometers from this point to Sydney Central. I suspect that these drill holes are evidence of rock blasting to make way for new railroad. From previously hard rock to weathering and soft crumbling white clays and shells. Like the San Muscal, bleached by the sun, breaking down into powdery white calcium. I have observed several round cement markers and a vertical arrow-shaped like indicator of some sort nearby a drain that runs under the railway track. I've done some searching but without success. Perhaps someone out there knows the meaning of these signs. I can see those white posts. I think that's where my car is, because that's the closest road. We're home again. That's my car. Whoops. Looking south is 696 kilometers to Sydney Central, and north to Wollongara, Queensland, 103. After walking up a steep hill in this large paddock, I found what I was looking for. A magnificent wooden railway bridge built in the 1880s across the dried up Beedy River north of Glen Innes. It is very upsetting as I am looking up these magnificent constructions built by our forefathers, slowly degrading because we have no more use for them anymore, turning our back on history. As I was heading back to my car, a large flock of sheep below me not too far in the valley was suddenly getting agitated and crying out loud and looking towards my direction. They started rushing up the hill towards my way. The last couple of years, Australia has been experienced a severe drought, and much of the sheep and cattle are basically starving. No rain in sight and no grass to eat. I can't help them, but I hope they will get some feed soon. After stopping at Yarrowford for the night, I am back on the road in the early morning. I have arrived in the quiet, sleepy village of Deepwater. Not a single soul on sight. Everybody must be still in bed. Deepwater is another town on the northern tablelands with a population of 307. It is also located on the North Main Line. Another exquisite train station of a Victorian architecture. Deepwater Station opened in 1886 and closed in 1972. It has been well preserved and it was painted recently. This large water tank has lasted the test of time. Water was needed for coal-powered trains to cool down their hot steamy boilers. A small wooden railroad bridge built across Foremout Creek, back on the New England Highway, and I'm heading towards the towns of Bolivia and Tenterfield, not far from the southern Queensland border. Another fine railway bridge that crosses Foremout Creek on the way to Bolivia. Climbing up the steep Bolivia Hill was memorized and amazed to witness nature's forces still at work for millions of years, carving and shaping the land all around us, exposing and wearing down the toughest of mineral rocks as these granite hills. A very well camouflaged grasshopper that is impossible to see as it lands on the ground. The first European settlement in Bolivia was in 1840. At present, the small town has a population of 66. A railway platform and Bolivia sign is all that remains. A hotel was built known as Cob and Cow changing stations, where passengers and horses could have something to eat or stay overnight. I believe this is the house of the train station master. I have briefly caught a glimpse of this deadly brown snake amongst the tall grass. And not too far away, I believe it's skeleton remains of a wombat. I am now undertaking a hike for around 500 meters in search for a tall railway wooden bridge. It's quicker walking on the side of the river, which is soil, than on the river scene, much slower. I can see the railway track from up here, up the top. Keep coming. It's not too bad, it's not that hot. Beautiful, quiet, serene place here. Oh, beautiful, quiet and peaceful place, and that's it. A lot of sand. Much of it is sand, sandstone, and quartz, and granite. A lot of granite boulders around. It's a granite country. See up the top, that's a railroad. That's the tracks. So it could be towards the right somewhere out. It's unbelievable how dry this river is. There's no water at all. Yeah, when it rained, good rain, but we're still in the drought period. Just the remains of a turtle. Talking about how dry it is, I just walked into a water hole where a couple of ducks just flew off. There's more water here. I think I just saw it. Yeah, there it is. Must be it. Yes, out in the distance. It is what I expected, a magnificent piece of infrastructure, built to last like the good old days. This is the second last major bridge between Glen Innes and Tenterfield. Railway cutting south of the bridge and to the north heading to Tenterfield. An old rusty wreck, not too far from the much older Bluff Swamp. As approaching the town of Tenterfield, evidence of the horrific bushfires during September last year can clearly be seen. Australia has experienced one of the most devastating droughts in history, unleashing an inferno throughout Queensland, New South Wales and Victoria. Too many people has died, with thousands of other people losing their homes and their possessions. We are now entering the town of Tenterfield, which is located at the northern end of the New England region. In 1841, Sir Stuart Donaldson was running 18,000 sheep on a property that he named Tenterfield Station. It has a population of 4,066. The famous Stonehenge house in Tenterfield, built in 1888, a grand style of Italian architecture. After a long journey, we have finally reached the last train station on the main North Line, a first-class and elegant building of rustic Gothic style. Tenterfield Station opened in 1886 and closed 100 years later in 1989. It is now a fine railway museum, exhibiting many memorable relics and images of an exciting and unforgettable era for many. Our story ends here in Tenterfield, and I hope you have enjoyed my presentation. Please do subscribe and send your comments. Thank you.